Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are not. Well, maybe you are, but you probably aren't, because there aren't many like me, thank God. Today we are here for our February 2016, I've forgotten what year it is, I'm such a nerd, our February 2016 Tabs3 Virtual User Group meeting, where today we are talking about importing transactions from the bank, something huge and new in version 18 that's you're going to find in both Trust Accounting and General Ledger. And that's Mary Jo. I'm going to talk about the timekeeper overhead figures that you may have seen in the timekeeper file and always wondered what they were for and why they were there. I'm going to explain all that. So let me just press the magic buttons and get out of here. And out of here, and I'm going to leave us in General Ledger, I believe, where Mary Jo is going to talk all about importing bank transactions. Go ahead, Mary Jo.
All right. So this is the much anticipated feature, I think, for some of us accounting geeks over here that have to reconcile every month. But it is so nice that we can now, if our bank participates, I have to have a little caveat because Paul and I bank at, well, I shouldn't say Paul and I, but Paul and the business bank at a small little bank that actually charges you to do this. But a lot of the big banks, you can just download the file that you need and you can import your transactions. And it is wonderful. So what we have to do is make sure that we get that file from our bank. If you have online banking, you can go on there, and it has to be in a certain format. And I will talk more about that when we get there because I'll show you where it's going to ask us what the formats are, and I'll tell you what those little extensions are. But once you get that file, then we can just save that either on our desktop or somewhere we can get to it, push a few buttons, and we can bring those transactions instantly into our general ledger. And then if they are matched, we're going to talk about matched and unmatched, but if they are matched, we can go ahead and check, it automatically checks them off for the reconciliation already. And if they're not matched, we can match them up and we can figure out what's going on. So let's do this, right? So let's go into our bank account manager. So if I click on my chart of accounts tab, there's a little bank account manager over here. And this bank account manager is really cool because it will list out all of your bank accounts and what you need to do for them, whether you're going to import the transactions, confirm or reconcile your account, see the balances, whatever it is you want to do, you can do all that right here in Bank Account Manager. Now, one thing that we do have to set up to be able to import bank transactions is to have the bank account number actually defined now in that account. So if we were to go back out to our chart of accounts, I'll show you where that is because you do have to put that information in so your account can match when you download that file. So I'm going to just go back to my main, get into my chart of accounts, go into the operating account because that's the one we're going to use as our test. And on this little bank account info button right here, this is where we need to go ahead and put in that bank account number. Before that was optional, but if you're going to import bank transactions, you do need to have that bank account number defined in there. Now you can lock down your system so everybody in your office doesn't see that bank account, but whoever is doing this does need to have that defined in there. This is the same in Trust, and as Paul said, I am going to show you this and demo this in General Ledger, but everything is the same in Trust aside from where you put it, because obviously there's no Trust chart of accounts in Trust, but underneath the bank account setup, they've added a field that you can put that bank account number in. So same process from this point forward in both programs. So now that I've got that defined, and I'm sure that that's in there, and I would define that for any other account that I'm going to be importing bank transactions in as well. Then I'm going to flip back over here to my bank account manager, and I want to import some bank transactions for this. Now, I've already downloaded some files. This is sample data, so we've got some sample transactions here. But I'm going to click on my Import Bank Transactions button. That takes me out to my list here. And because I'm in sample data, I've got to go out to a certain spot. You would save this probably out onto your desktop or somewhere out there that you want to be able to get to this information. I'm just in my evaluation software, so I have it down here. And here is my GLS file that I'm going to be doing. So if I click on that, I just want to bring to your attention down here for the file type, because this tells me automatically, as soon as I click on the import bank transactions and open this window, the 3 types of files that I'm allowed to go ahead and import in. And that is it's an OFC file, a QBO file, or a QFX file. QBO is like a QuickBooks. QFX, I'm not exactly sure. And this is more, you're probably going to get this OFC from your bank account. These are the different types that it supports. So you do have to make sure that it's in one of these types, and then choose that file and click on Open. As soon as I do that, it's given me this message box that tells me that 23 bank transactions were imported. This would be however many you had. It automatically, as soon as I click that file, imports those transactions up into this screen.
So let me see if I understand this right. These are like the 23 transactions that would be on my statement?
Correct.
If I were to reconcile against my statement?
Correct.
And I can just pull these in from my bank and load them right into GL?
Correct.
Got it.
So now they're here, and it's telling me that I have 23 unconfirmed transactions. Before I tell you this is going to pop up this message, and it's going to ask you, would you like to delete this import file? So it will be clear for the next time you go to import transactions. So if you download another, list of your transactions since the last time you did it, do you want to just have a new one that you're just going to go pick? I'm going to say no, because it's a sample data, and I do want to keep my file, but you could delete that. Once they've been imported, you can delete it or you can keep it, but that's your choice there. I'm going to say no, I don't want to delete it. So now I've got this little queue up here that tells me I have 23 unconfirmed transactions. Well, before it can check them off in my reconciliation, they have to be confirmed. I can't have anything hanging out here. So I'm going to click on the confirmed transactions down here in the middle. And now I've got all of these unmatched transactions. And then if I click on match, none of those were matched. And that's, again, I'm in sample data. So what does this mean? So unmatched means, well, I found all these transactions here, but I don't see any journal entry or any kind of a accounts payable entry or any kind of a payment from Tabs that matches these amounts. Well, because I'm in sample data, that's why. You might have 1 or 2 because maybe you have a automatic payment that gets deducted out of your account for your line of credit, and you haven't made that journal entry yet. That would be an example that would be out here on the unmatched. Everything else that it was able to go out and locate a journal entry for, it would be on my match list, and it would automatically check those off as reconciled because it already matched them up. Because I'm in sample data, I don't have that, so I'm just going to go out to one. I'm going to go to the ABC office supply, and just by clicking on it, it's going to let me go in and create a journal entry for that. So it's already begun the entry with the right date. Operating account, it's already crediting because this was something that came out of my operating account for $152.36. And then all I need to do is just go to that proper account for office supplies to do the other side. Put it into however many accounts that I need to. And now I've created the journal entry that it can match up to. And when I hit save, that then takes me back off, and that transaction is no longer on my unmatched list. It's now over on my matched list. And so here, that one's already done. It's already checked off. And if I were to go into my reconciliation right now, that would be an entry that was already marked as checked off. So if you have all of your entries in there for the whole month and you import those transactions, when you go to reconcile, they'll all be ready for you. They're already going to be matched. They're going to be checked off, and everything will be done and ready to go. Once you've confirmed all of these, then when you go back out onto the screen, this will no longer be there because all of them will be confirmed. Right now I've still got the 23. I have to finish those up. Then if I go right to my Reconcile account, all in this same bank account manager, and I have no idea what this really is, so it's probably going to give me a number there. But I've got some of these that are already checked off in here, and that one for office supplies would be one of those. It would already be checked and be ready to go. And I'm sure it's probably in here somewhere, and I haven't scrolled to find it, but it is a $150-some with office supplies. Here it was in there. So that's how it works, and I clicked on it and unchecked it, but there you go. That's my entry, and that's in there. So it just makes things so much easier. They've done this in Trust. It's exactly the same. You can import your transactions in there. You can confirm them the same way. You can make sure that everything's in there, and you can be all set to go. Paul?
Awesome. I think a lot of people have been waiting for that.
Yes.
I should probably choose this time to tell you, Mary Jo, we're switching banks, so next time you reconcile, maybe you'll be able to pull in.
Maybe we'll have a bigger bank and we can actually do this.
Maybe
Yay.
we'll move into a bigger bank and we can actually pull this
You know, there's something to be said about small town banks, but that is true. That is a feature that will be very nice.
Well, we'll see if we can't get you taken care of.
All right.
Now, my topic isn't quite as exciting, and it's not new either, but it's puzzling to a lot of people. So even if you might not use this, we thought we might take this time to explain what it is. So if we go to Setup, and we go to Timekeeper, have you ever noticed this little profitability button? Let me pull up somebody here. I'm going to pull up Michael Jensen. And we have this thing called profitability, and this allows us to define on a month-by-month basis what the overhead amounts are for this particular timekeeper in order to become profitable. How much money do they have to earn? How many payments need to come in to the firm that are the direct result of their time for them to become profitable, to cover their overhead? And so people have seen this and they've asked us, and we do have some clients that actually use this. Now, these numbers merely represent what you think it's going to cost in overhead for this person for each of these months. And as you can see, it's done on a month-by-month basis. I don't know why July is different, but there is a reason for that. And so they give you the ability to do this on a month-by-month basis. Perhaps after the first 4 months, it goes down from being $1,250 or $12,500 to being $11,500 or $10,000 in overhead. We do also have the ability to clear everything out and to allocate. And so by allocating, we can take a yearly amount and specify it and be able to have it just go out there. So if I, for instance, put in $120,000 and said yearly and said, okay, all of a sudden everything changes to $10,000 a month. So we are allowed to allocate and then change on a month-by-month basis if necessary, and basically map out exactly how much each month's overhead for this particular year will be for this particular timekeeper. And then in theory what you do is you go through and you change these amounts, and yes, I changed data, I moved on to the next one. And so different timekeepers might have different overhead amounts. Perhaps the associates have this set of overhead amounts, the partners have this set of overhead amounts, whatever the case may be. Maybe you've got one partner that's responsible for something over and above what everybody else is. So on a month-by-month basis, timekeeper-by-timekeeper basis, you define these allocations. Well, okay, what do you do with that? Well, if you go into reports, and I believe it's under management reports. Help me out here, Mary Jo, if I'm not in the right place. Timekeeper profitability, there we go. And so what this does is it lets us say for whatever range of timekeepers, let's say all of them, so I won't specify anything. And I'm going to go ahead and say April through November, give it a report date of what it thinks is today. My demo system's stuck in 11/17 of 2014, and that's why you have these weird dates here. And then I can also choose to create a graph from the report of either net profit or billed fees or overhead or percent of billed fees. I'm going to stick with net profit and graph by individual timekeeper or grand totals. And let's go ahead and see what this looks like. So here's a graph that shows me what the profitability, what the billed fees were for each of these timekeepers. Now also in this profitability report, we have the ability to look at net profit, which is what I thought I switched it back to. So let's look at this. And so now we're looking at who was profitable and who was not profitable between April and November of 2014. So a lot of unprofitability here, a lot of profitability here, with this center point being the profitability level. And of course, on a timekeeper by timekeeper basis, that is in direct correlation to those overhead amounts that we put in for each timekeeper for each month. So you've learned two new things today when it comes to this topic. First off, we have a timekeeper profitability report that includes, among other things, the ability to And Mary Jo's taken over here to show you that you can also get these figures in a less graphical and more numerical representation. Same thing, different way of looking at it. But we have the ability to look at this profitability, and among that is the actual net profit. And if you're graphing, you also have the ability to graph on any of these other things. So the report as a whole is going to show you certain things, including the profitability. The profitability, correct me if I'm wrong, Mary Jo, but I think the profitability itself is the only thing that pulls from those overhead numbers that we filled out back in the timekeeper area.
Correct. I mean,
the rest of it is like build hours and things like that. So that's why those numbers are there. That's usually the question we get. What are these numbers under this profitability button in the timekeeper section? And this is it. It's for this report. It's for a certain part of this report, but this report is overall, oops, let me go back to where we have just the numbers. This report overall is going to show you all sorts of information, including that profitability. And so it kind of pulls some neat figures together on a month-by-month basis with totals and percentages, billed fees, overhead, net profit.
Yeah, it's basing on, the first number with your billed fees is, what they actually billed. The overhead is what they should have billed and whether they're over and above. And that's just what that's showing you by setting those numbers. If you don't set the overhead numbers and that profitability into the timekeeper, you have nothing to compare to. You don't know if they've been over or under on the amount they're supposed to bill.
Exactly.
And now it doesn't do hours. I know that's another question we get. I wish I could do it on hours, but it's amount that they brought in.
Because the other numbers, the overhead numbers are amount.
Right.
It's not we have this many hours in overhead. That doesn't make sense.
Right. But if you're trying, some of them want to track, set that this attorney has to bill X amount of hours, not an amount, and it doesn't. It's an amount in here, so just be aware of that.
But I understand why, because you can have so many different rate structures for different clients that it's impossible to determine. Okay, that's it. Now, next month we're going to talk about auto trust payments, another thing that's cool and new from version 18. And Mary Jo's going to talk about that. And I'm going to talk about, I get to talk about something new this time, printing receipts. Not quite as exciting as Mary Jo's. Why do you always get the exciting topics? And so that's next month. That's March of 2016. Auto trust payments, huge new feature, the ability no S at the end of systems, and from there, .com, and from there, let me get there. There we go. You can click on videos and see all the different video series that we have. We have our 3 virtual user group meetings. Of course, right now you're in the Tabs3 virtual user group meeting. We have one for Practice Master and one for World Docs. We have a coffee pot webinar series that I present every month. These 4 titles, the virtual user group meetings and the webinars, are all live events that you are welcome to come to live and participate in and ask questions and see it as it's taped. But these 4 things, plus these other 2, are available in a recorded version at all times. You'll see that in just a second. So we also have our eBites video series. Mary Jo does 3 of these a month, 1 on Tabs, 1 on Practice Master, and 1 on World Docs. And we have our longer format, Paul and Mary, say again? But not always Tabs. Okay. And we have our longer format, Paul and Mary Jo show, that where Mary Jo or I will take a much broader topic and go into great detail, spend 10, 15, 20 minutes delving into all the different areas, all the different nuances of that broader topic. Now, each of these pages is represented by a list of all the events. For instance, this is our Coffee Pot webinar series, or this is the Mary Jo's eBite video series. Oops, pressed the wrong thing. Let me get down here. If you click on the tab at the top, you just go straight to that. And so here, for instance, is this month's eBite video series in a recorded form. And all of these recordings are going to be here. So as we scroll down, we can move from page to page and see a list of all of them, or we can search them. Also, if you go to one of the live events, you'll also have registration information for how to register for the next one, be able to see what the topics are, and a link to register. And you can also search any of these videos for just about any word. So if you're looking for something on emailing statements, you can type the word email and either search or choose one of the results that pops up right away, and you will get a list of all the webinars or VUGs, virtual user group meetings, or recorded eBites or Paul and Mary Jo shows that talk about emailing statements or setting up emails in World Docs or managing your email in Practice Master. And so this content is all there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's a lot of stuff here. Please take advantage of it. That's why we put it there. Everybody have a good rest of the day and a good rest of the month, and we'll see you next month in March when we talk about trust payments happening automatically and receipts being printed from the payment entry window. Thanks much. Bye-bye.